This video will not tell you the top 10 buzzwords to manipulate your copywriting client and get them to pay you $3,000 a month. So if you're not serious about copywriting, you have TikTok brain, you can't handle the no editing, you're not serious about landing your first paid client, please click off now. There's no benefit for either of us. If not, then welcome to the complete sales call guide I wish I had when I started copywriting. Now, the truth is there is no perfect script that I can tell you to say, because 99% of the time on a sales call, you are going to go off script. Not only am I going to tell you what I recommend you say, most importantly, why I recommend you say that thing. This guide is going to operate on what I call principles instead of a rules or a script for you to just regurgitate that every other copywriter is using. So this is how you're actually going to stand out and land your very first paid copywriting client. Let's get into it. First stage is going to be the groundwork stage, and this is everything that you should have done leading up to your first sales call. And you are going to hate me for this. One of you might be about to write a hate comment below. I don't care. I'm telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. The first thing you should have done before you want to land your first paid copywriting client is you should have done some free copywriting projects. You might be getting annoyed now because you're not going to land your first client as soon as you'd hope to. And I'm just telling you the truth. Don't shoot me on the messenger. But the reason for this is because I don't want you to get on a sales call, and maybe it's your first one, you're a bit nervous or whatever, and then they ask you, oh yeah, how long have you been copywriting for? Who have you worked for? What results have you got then? And you're sitting there stammering, going, oh, well, actually, I haven't actually worked for anyone yet. What do you think that's going to happen? They're not going to want to work with you. And there's no way to justify a lack of experience on your end. You cannot say, I'm going to get you these results. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. And you can't fucking do it. And you've got no evidence or no proof that anything you say has any merit to it. So what you do at the very minimum, I recommend 2 copywriting projects. And these don't need to be like full projects, right? You can write a few social media captions. You can manage someone's emails. The most important thing I want you to do is to track the results if you can, and ideally get a video testimonial from those clients you work with. The best part about this is at the end of that project, they might actually really want to work with you, and boom, you've got your foot in the door. Now, what I recommend even for these free projects is that you do hop on some sort of call with them. This whole guide will still apply whether you're doing free projects or you want to get a paid client. Only bit that's different if it's free is you won't need to know the pricing section of this video and the objection handling part. And we'll talk about more of the objections later. So let's say you've got all that out the way, right? What do you actually need to do before you get on the call? So you should have outreached this person, maybe on Instagram, by email, whatever. You should have rizzed them up a bit, dropped some game on them, send them a Loom video or a Google Doc. You can check out my free outreach guide, be somewhere here or in the description. But essentially, you should have given them some sort of free value. And they should say thank you. You want to then invite them on a call. And the way you say this is just, hey, I'm glad you liked the video or the Google Doc. I actually had some more ideas about how I can help you achieve certain metric. Are you free for a quick call, or would you be against a quick call? You want to use that sort of wording. You want to essentially make it as easy as possible for them. If you're on Instagram, you can honestly just do an Instagram call, which I've done before, and it's just fucking easy. They don't need to install any software, whatever. One thing I want you to ask them before the call is ask them, do they have anyone else they need to be on the call with them? So that would include a business partner or one of their spouses who needs to essentially help with the decision making. The last thing you should do is send over your portfolio if you have one. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially like a little file of just the work you've done for other copywriting clients. And again, this puts any question about your experience to rest. So they don't need to bring that up on the sales call. You've handled it, you've done the free projects, you've got a portfolio, and the most important thing is to try and get those metrics that show a transformation. So that might be increased click-through rate, more leads, reduction in cost per lead, or whatever. And finally, you need to schedule in the call with them. It should always be done at their convenience. You could just ask them, hey, what time works for you? Are you free this weekend? They might say, yeah, I'm free at 5 p.m. Just book it in for them. Make it as easy as possible for them to get on the call with you. So that's the groundwork stage out of the way. That's essentially everything you should have done leading up to the call, as in what you should have physically done. Now, there's another stage here before we get onto the actual call. I told you this was a full guide, right? This is the mindset stage. And this is really important because a lot of you won't have actually gone on a call with a client yet. And it's quite daunting at first, so it's really important to have the correct mindset. I said this earlier in the intro, but we want to go with a principles instead of rules mindset. You should understand why you're doing things on the sales call instead of me just giving you a fucking script that you will 100% forget. I don't care how experienced you are, you're going to forget the vast majority of what I say. So I want you to go into the call with this energy that you don't really mind if the conversation flows somewhere, but you can always redirect it back, and you have a principles approach rather than a script. Because if they catch you off guard with something and you don't know how to respond, it's because you don't know what to say, right? And if you have the right principles, you always know what to say. So that's the first part of mindset. The second part, I want you to treat it like dating, okay? I only started dating this year personally. I'm 23, so I'm quite late to the party. What I've realized is you have to be kind of authentic, and you can't really care too much about where the first date ends. If they don't like you, if you don't get the sale, if you don't get the first kiss, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I want you to mentally detach yourself from the sale. The purpose of this sales call is to find out if you are both compatible as business partners, right? Can you actually provide them with value? Because sometimes they might not actually be looking for copywriting, or they might not really be ready to invest in it yet, which is completely fine. So again, detach yourself from the sale. Like I said, it is honestly like dating as a guy. You're kind of expected to lead the conversation, right? You are the expert, you are the authority that is trying to help this prospect. And this doesn't mean you need to be talking most of the time, actually. It means you know where to lead the conversation and you're able to redirect it if it does go off track, which it eventually will do. So we're going to talk about that soon. The last thing I want to say is you're probably going to be nervous on your first ever sales call, which is completely normal. Don't worry about it. One thing I used to do, which helped me a lot, is have a notepad and a pen with you. And obviously you're calling on your screen, your phone or your computer, right? So in case you need to like release some nervous energy, you can literally squiggle on that piece of paper, which sounds stupid, I know, but you can also just write regular notes. And it can buy you time if you need to breathe or you need to kind of chill for a sec during the call. Because I've been there, it happens, right? You get nervous, you're not used to it. Just slow down the pace of the call. You can just say to them, hey, sorry, I just need to write something down. And you write physically on a pad. I don't want you to have your laptop open and you've got them on one side and your notes on the other. Because what are they going to hear? They're going to hear you typing away. Your attention's going from left to right. They don't know if you're typing something up or talking to them. You're just kind of distracted. If you have a pen and pad in front of you here and your laptop, your screen's here, your attention's either on them or on writing / getting rid of that nervous energy, right? And obviously, like I said before, you can just write notes up, which I'd highly recommend as well. But if you're someone who's nervous and you need to slow down and breathe during a call, that can actually really help. So after way too long, we're finally on the first part of the call. And one thing I just realized I forgot to mention before was make sure you've done research on your prospect. Where are they from? What do they do? How long have they been doing it roughly, if you know? Who's their target audience? What do they want to accomplish? You should know that briefly before you get on the first part of the sales call. And the first 2 minutes, you just want to break the ice. It's like a date again. You're not going to go straight and ask, hey, when are we getting married? No, you're going to be like, when you give them a hug, be like, hey, how was your journey here? How was your day? Whatever. Break the ice and get personable with them. Ask them just how their day was and try and connect with them on something in common. That's the best thing you can do. So let's say they're like, oh, I had pizza for lunch. And you go, oh, wow, I love pizza. Who doesn't? Did you have like an authentic pizza or like a blah, blah, blah? You're going to make some bullshit up, break the ice, get them to open up a little bit, and you are there to have more of a conversation, again, based on principles rather than a specific script. So after you've done your chit chat icebreaker, you're going to say something along the lines of, hey, thanks for getting on the call. I really appreciate it. Just out of curiosity, what actually made you want to get on the call? This is leading off from your Google Doc or your Loom video that you said beforehand, right? And again, go watch my outreach guide if you haven't seen it. I recommend you provide them some free value first, so you have something to reel them in, get them interested. And they might start to open up about where they want to go with their business, which is great because we're going to ask that later as well. And you want to try and pick out and even note down things that they say. They might say some really specific stuff. For example, one client I was working with, he was talking to me about how he wants to go full-time, on his training app. He wants to be working essentially from his phone and from home rather than coaching clients in the gym. He works as a PT. So stuff like that is really key, and I want you to note it down because it will come in handy later. You might realize by now the whole purpose of this is that it should flow like a regular conversation. Shouldn't be scripted, should not be robotic. And we're going to ask them questions later, but this gives you an initial idea. So the next part is actually validating what they've just said. They've opened up. They might have some sort of fears or hopes or dreams that they want to achieve for their business. I want you to just very quickly validate these, or if they have any fears, help put these to rest and just say, I understand where you're coming from. I've actually worked with a few clients who also have this fear and we helped fix it, or they've actually been in this position and had these sort of dreams. And now comes the part where you need to actually talk about yourself. You need to give a quick introduction about yourself. This is actually pretty difficult for most people, and it will determine if that person wants to work with you long term. This is a tip I've not heard any other person talk about, and a lot of people might say it's not necessary, but I think it is. And it's actually to say why you are a copywriter. Now, you watching this, you might not actually know why you're a copywriter, or you might know, and it might be to make 10K a month with copywriting. But clients don't want to hear that, do they? I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you want to work with a personal trainer. You've got personal trainer A, personal trainer B. You're on the call with them, you're on the discovery call. Personal trainer A says, yeah, my dad's a personal trainer, so he's been doing it his whole life. I've seen him do it, so I thought I'd do it as well. And then you've got personal trainer B, and he says, I became a personal trainer through my own fitness journey, which made me realize the importance of living a healthy life and the power that fitness can bring you. So I help everyday working people take back power in their own lives through fitness and physical health. Which one do you want to work with more? And they could have the exact same level of service and they could give you the exact same level of results. Who do you want to work with more? It's obviously personal trainer B. Why? Because they told you why they do what they do. You can tell they're going to put you first. You can tell they love what they do. If your intro's saying, yeah, I'm a copywriter and I like writing because it makes me money, it's not even going to help you land your first client, if I'm honest, because people can sense bullshit. So a client wants someone who loves what they do. They want someone that is going to put them first. And most importantly, they want to work with people who have good ethics and are honest. So that's why you say why you're a copywriter. Because I don't want you just to get your first copywriting client and then be a dick because you don't have the same ethics or morals. So now you understand why I'm telling you to say why you're a copywriter. This is what I'd recommend you say. First and foremost, I'm a copywriter, which means that I help my clients generate more conversions and more revenue through the written word. But why I love what I do is that I get to help people like yourself help more people. And for me, that's a win-win. And for you, I think it's a win-win too, because not only do your clients get the best possible service, the best possible support through yourself, you also get the best possible clients. You get the most qualified clients, for example, that share the same values, the same mindset as you. You might have experienced in the past where maybe you get traffic, but you struggle to convert your traffic or convert those leads into actual paying clients. And a lot of the time it's because they're not qualified. They don't have the same mindset as you, or the same approach or the same values. And a lot of the qualifying can be done through copywriting. But yeah, is there something you've experienced yourself with unqualified leads? Boom, there you go. And of course, you don't need to go into that much detail. I would recommend you give some detail because people want to do business with people that don't just gloss over themselves, but they can have some authority too. And the only way you gain that is by talking about yourself with confidence. So actually going on too much about yourself isn't a terrible thing as long as you can engage them, and you engage them by saying why you do what you do. So what does all that yapping actually have to do, and what does it convey to your potential client? So what did we say? We said, hey, first and foremost, I'm a copywriter, and then you explain it simply, which means I help my clients make more money through the written word. Very simple. You then say, and why I love what I do is because blah, blah, blah. And you're giving this almost ethical side of marketing, because you might have heard that marketing is quite manipulative, right? And if you look at copywriters like Alex Catoni from the Copy Posse, her whole brand is based on this. It's on dedouchifying marketing. Marketing doesn't need to be malicious or manipulative. It can actually be pretty ethical. So that's where you want to come in. And again, this is going to separate you from 99% of other copywriters that haven't watched this video. I'm telling you now, business owners, when they get pitched by copywriters or by freelancers, they are just thinking, yeah, this guy wants my money. If you're showing them a different side, that you're ethical, your approach to copywriting is ethical. You're not some salesy guy, because you understand they have a brand and they have a reputation to protect. So the whole salesy copywriting thing, they don't want. Has anyone ever told you this before? Probably not. Okay. This is the truth of it. You are not this like CEO salesy guy. You are a support character to help the business reach their goals and ambitions. Okay. So I know I talked a lot about that whole section about saying why you do what you do, but it's so important. And as I gave you that personal trainer example, you see why, right? Who are you going to want to work with? Personal trainer B, the guy that has good morals, can execute, and puts their customers first. They need to know that you're going to put them first. You want to end your intro with a question back to your prospect. I said something about qualifying the leads, and actually a problem many business owners face where they get leads, they get traffic, but they cannot convert to save their life. And a lot of them are wondering why. They have this question in their mind, why? You've just answered it. You've just said these leads aren't qualified. So my copywriting helps qualify these leads. What is the point of saying this? You might just be thinking I'm yapping. You are able to give them the answers to questions that they had no idea how to answer. So what are they thinking? They're thinking, how much else do you know? I want to work with this guy, right? These are all things that are going to be adding up slowly over time. Any objections they might have regarding your experience, your authority, these are being put to rest even before they bring up the objection. So that's what we're doing here. Again, this is getting them to open up, and anything important they say you need to note down, right? The next part of this is actually asking them questions. Again, this is more like the script stuff. I'm going to explain the principles as we go along. Question 1 for them. You're going to ask them, why do they do what they do? Now, we just answered ourselves. We said why we are copywriters. We want to know they're on the same sort of page when it comes to values and to morals. And also, it will keep giving you more insight on what they want out of their business, how you can better help them. So the second question is to them, where do you want to be in a year from now with regards to your business? And what you're trying to get out of them here is essentially their end goal, right? Obviously, it's not going to be the complete end goal, but essentially the direction they want to move their business in. And a lot of them are going to say, yeah, we want to scale. But again, you want them to open up on actually how their lifestyle might change with regards to that scale or more of those sales. Are they going to be reinvesting a lot back into the business? Are they going to heavily invest their time in the business? Are they going to start to step away from it, maybe live more of like a digital nomad life, right? Like some guys I talk about, they want to start removing themselves from the business to outsource, but essentially it means they get more free time. So again, note these things down. Third question, what do you need to get there from your own analysis? It might say things like, I need more leads, I need more qualified leads, I need to set up a mailing list, I need to sell more high ticket products, whatever. You're seeing from their own standpoint what they think they need to get there. And it might not actually be what they actually need to get there. Again, note these things down. These are all helpful in understanding the full jigsaw puzzle. Where do things fit in? What's their goal? What do they need to get there? Now, the fourth question. They would have said what they think they need to get there. The fourth question is saying, what happens if you can't get that? So let's say they say, oh yeah, I need to set up an email list, right? Very simple example. Oh, what happens if you can't successfully set one up? And they're going to say like, oh, well, then I can't get that lifestyle I want in a year. I can't get the scale that I hope for. What you're doing throughout this whole process of asking questions is you're playing with their emotions, which is a little bit manipulative, I know. But you're getting them to think about why they started, know what their mission is. You're then getting them to aspire to where they want to be in a year. You're getting them riled up, hoping where they want to be in a year. You're then bringing them back down to logic. What do they need to get there? And then you're taking that away and you're saying, what if you can't get those leads? Oh, then I can't scale, right? So you're essentially playing with their emotions. And it's a little bit fucked up, I know, but it has to be done in a sales setting. So what you say to not make the last question awkward, and they might say, yeah, if I can't get those leads, then yeah, we'll struggle to scale. And they start sounding really sad. What you say to them is, okay, so we really need to increase the number of leads you're getting. And again, get them to confirm that. They should say yes or no or whatever. So after asking those 4 questions, you should have a pretty good idea of where they want to go, what they need to get there, and how important is it to them that they get there. And it should be quite important to them. Now, this is the fun part, right? This is where you have to basically pitch them on how you're going to help them. So let's say they want more leads in general, right? You're going to say, okay, so I suggest we set up a lead capture form. If you have any free ebooks that we could, send out to users, we'll start collecting emails for your email list, blah, blah, blah. And I want you to be so confident in yourself. Essentially, on the sales call, you're already setting up a plan for them. So you might say, yeah, you know what? So we'll do 3 social media captions. I'll work on that lead capture form. I think that would be good to, work on an email list in the future. I saw a few things on your landing page I think could be tweaked, so I'll work on those too. They will probably saying, yep, that's all good, that's all good. But in the back of their mind, what are they thinking? They're thinking, how much is this going to cost? Right? So after you finish listing off like your whole plan, you say to them, have you got any questions for me? They might ask you questions about your plan, about the project. And most importantly, they will ask you about the price. This is how you do it without being awkward. A lot of times it's going to be awkward because they should always be the one asking you for the price. Remember, you are the authority here, you're leading the conversation, but it's always better, honestly, if they ask the price. Now, the most fun part is you saying the price. And this will be awkward, I'm not going to bullshit you. This is how you say it. Yeah, so that will set you back £500. And there's going to be a very awkward silence after. You do not say anything after that. And you're probably thinking, why, that's so awkward. If you have done the groundwork I told you, which is the 3 projects, if you have a portfolio, you've linked it to them. They know you do what you say you do. So there's no question about your work ethic and your ability to deliver. There is no need for you to justify your price. So you say to them, that's going to cost you, or that's going to set you back X amount. And then you just smile. And they're going to go, and then in their head, they're going to be thinking, okay, is that within the amount I want to invest? Or is that outside? And then they're going to hit you with what's called objections. And these are just basically excuses or reasons they don't want to pay. And 90% of the time, you're going to get objections, right? Unless they're really profitable and they can just afford to say, yeah, £500, that's fine. They're going to try and get their money's worth, right? So there are 4 main objections they can hit you with. And I want you to be prepared for each one. Again, we're going to do this based off principle, not off a bullshit script. But the funny thing is, doing enough sales calls, a lot of them say the same thing. The number 1 most popular objection is, I need to think about it. And I used to think, like, how is this difficult to handle? You just ask them what they need to think about. And that's exactly what you do. You just treat it like a normal conversation. You have good communication. You say, what is it you need to think about? And a lot of the times they won't want to open up. Them saying, I need to think about it, is so they don't get dragged into buying due to emotion. If you know sales, you know people buy on emotion and they justify that with logic. So what they're saying when they say, I need to think about it, is that I need to get off the call, wait for my emotions to settle, and then buy or not buy logically. Your goal should be to keep them on the call. You want to try and keep them in that emotion. And again, you want to try and evoke those emotions. So you're going to say, what is it you need to think about? Is it the price? Is it my experience? Is it the timeline? Etc., etc. And it's much easier if you just start listing bits off, because they can select the pick. Okay, yeah, it's that, it's that. And it shows you have self-awareness as well. And you understand from their perspective, it's perfectly normal to have those objections. So they might say the price. Let's say we go with $500. And they say, yeah, it's just too much. You basically want to drag them back into those questions we talked about earlier. Where do they want to be in a year from now? They might have listed you an exact state, like a digital nomad lifestyle where they're earning from their phone. They're basically just outsourced their business. They're not doing much work. And you just ask them, to you, is that worth £500 at least? It should say, yeah. And I'm not going to lie, that might not work all the time. It might actually be too much for them, right? So you said 500. I want you to say something like, yeah, I completely understand that 500 is too much. Just out of curiosity, how much would you be prepared to invest to reach that goal in 1 year's time? They might say something like £200. And you say, okay, cool. So what you want to do is decrease the offer. You still have authority. Don't just bend to what they say. Don't just go from 500 to 200 and keep the same offer, because it shows you are malleable. You can be swayed so easily. So you're going to decrease the work you do. You say something like, yeah, we'll go for $200 to start off with. Let's do 2 social media captions and the lead capture form. How does that sound? right? And you're still helping them. They're vetting you to see, can this guy get me my money's worth? And obviously, they're paying you less, so you do less work. The next objection they might have, if they say, I need to think about it might be to them not trusting you. And again, you could just ask them like, yeah, man, why don't you trust me? If you've built up a friendly attitude and persona throughout this entire conversation, if you've got the portfolio from the 3 clients that I'd hope you've done, then this shouldn't really be an issue. They might have some reservations about working with you, or they might actually find that they don't need copywriting. What makes you think you wouldn't need copywriting to scale? And they might give you a very valid reason, or you might sway them back. It might be something like an email list, or they might need scripts for their videos or whatever. But your portfolio and your free work should basically just destroy this objection, should not be there. Now, the final objection they could hit you with is they say that they need to talk to their spouse or business partner. If you remember back at the groundwork stage, I told you to ask them, hey, is there anyone else that needs to be on the call? And if they say that, you're going to question them, why is this person not on the call? I did say, right? And you don't want to get annoyed with them, obviously, but you should be a bit forward with it. And I want you to kind of question their relationship with that business partner. This is fucked up a little bit, but you're going to say like, oh, are you guys aligned on where you want the business to go? And they might say, yeah, yeah. And they're going to be stuttering and stammering and not knowing what to say. At this point, if you can close them and they agree to it, get them to pay right there on the call. Especially after they've paid, they're going to feel quite emotional. They're going to feel really excited, or they're not going to be certain about where that money's going. Your job, again, you're leading the conversation and you want to put those fears to rest about the process. So you're going to inform them and you might just say, hey, yeah, I'll send the invoice over. I'll send you a complete email about the next steps straight after this call. And you want to wrap up here. So now you know how to handle those objections and hopefully get paid. Now, what happens if that doesn't go to plan? It's actually completely fine. And I know you're probably watching this and thinking, well, what the fuck is this guy on about? What if I told you you can actually pull that client back after they were close to buying, or you can ask them for more business? That's not them. I wish I did this stuff way back, but I think this is honestly one of the most important parts of the video because I don't see anyone talking about this. What happens if you can't get the sale? First reason is that you guys just aren't compatible. They want you to work for £10. You're saying, fuck that. I need at least £250 for my copy. So there's an incompatibility there due to price, or maybe they don't need copywriting in the first place. What you want to do there is be quite friendly and you want to say, hey, thanks for getting on call. Sorry it didn't work out. And, I wish you all the best. Just out of curiosity, is there anyone else within your network who you think could benefit from my services? What you're essentially asking, is there anyone else that you could refer me to? This is a great way of getting business. This is the oldest way of getting business. Before the internet, everything was word of mouth. So that's essentially what you're doing. And again, if you've presented yourself in a really good way, you showed you're ethical, you're really driven, but sadly it just didn't work out with this prospect, it doesn't mean that you can't work with other people that they know. And 9 times out of 10, people are more than happy to give you this. If they've had a good experience with the sales call, if you've been leading the call and leading the direction of the project, then there's no reason why they won't say yes. Now, the second reason why you might not land your first copywriting client is because you didn't handle the objections well enough, or they really just want to think about it off call. Guys, this is gold dust. I'm not bullshitting you. I wish I did this stuff earlier, and someone's probably going to steal this. You do it in the exact same principle as before, which is asking for a referral. What you say to them, and I'll explain it after, is, yeah, no worries, take as long as you need to think about it. In the meantime, are there any other personal trainers within London who you think can benefit from my services? I'll say that again. Yeah, no worries, take as long as you need to think about it. In the meantime, are there any other business owners that do what you do in the same area that can benefit from this? You are technically asking for a referral, right? We're doing the same thing as I said for the first rejection. But you're saying to them, I know and I have enough experience to know that when someone says, I need to think about it, they just want to get off the call. So I don't care about you. I've detached myself from the sale by saying, yeah, take as long as you need to think about it. You're brushing them off. You're then saying, in the meantime, are there any other competitors, direct competitors, that do what you do in your area I can reach out to. So you're not just asking for a referral. You're saying, by you taking as long as you need to think about it, and you can do that, I don't care. I don't care about the sale. I'm going to go to your competitors and pitch them the exact same way I pitched you. In other words, by you not taking this deal and working with me, I'm going to go after your competition, and you're literally going to be losing out by not working with me. And is this fucked up to say? A little bit, yeah. But the way it comes across is you just asking for a referral. And what you find, most people who thought about working with you, they may be close, but they can't pull the trigger. They're going to say to you, no, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone within that area who does what I do, because they don't want you going after their competitors. And after they tell you no, you want to say very subtly, no worries, I'll find them online. And again, what are you saying? You're saying, it doesn't matter if you tell me their names or not. I'm going after your competition, and you're going to get smoked in business. And for the people that say, I need to think about it, but are this close to working with you, this can actually help them be reeled back in to work with you. And you might find that after you end the call, they actually reach out to you and say, hey, I'm ready to work with you. Because you've told them, I am threatening the people that do what you do in your area. And if I can't help you, I'm going to help them get to where you want to be. Again, that's some gold dust for you guys. It's a little bit fucked up. But yeah, that is the complete and utter sales call guide to get your first copywriting client, retain that client, and land even more clients. I hope that helped, guys. Please consider subscribing if it did. Let me know any questions in the comments below, and yeah, see you guys in the next one.